Hello, hello. Hi there, Natalie Lucier here. So this is our first time doing a fun live demo workshop of building your own pop-up using PopupAlly Pro. So if you don't have a copy yet, just go to ambitionally.com/PopupAlly Pro. And if you do have PopupAlly, then you'll probably want to load that up and get that going so we can dive on in and start building your beautiful opt-in pop-up. So this is actually going to be me building a pop-up live, and I will have this open. So if you have questions, just go ahead and pop them into this Facebook Live area here, and I will keep an eye on the chat just to make sure if you have questions, or if you're like, I don't know how you did that, or I tried to do that and it didn't quite work the same, or whatnot. So I'm excited to dive on in. So let's go and open up PopupAlly Pro. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add More Pop-ups, and I've already obviously installed the plugin and put in my license information, but at this point I'm just going to go ahead and design a pop-up. And to give you some context, this is going to be a pop-up for our 30-day list building challenge. So on the 30-day challenge site, I would like to add an exit intent pop-up. And if you're not familiar with exit intent, that is something that will show up right before somebody exits your website. So maybe they come to the landing page, they see what your site is all about, and they say, I'm not sure if I'm ready to sign up for this. So what you do is you choose this exit intent option. And then what you will do is you will also decide where you want the pop-up to show up. So in my case, I created a post called for testing purposes, and it's only going to show up on this particular page for our testing purposes. So once I'm done, once I'm happy with the way my pop-up looks, I will say show for all posts and all pages. And for now, I'm just going to keep this on the testing side of things. And obviously you could disable this on mobile devices or on desktop. You could also decide how often you want this to show up, and you can enable smart subscriber recognition. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and save this pop-up. Alrighty, this is almost done here. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to start designing the look and feel of this pop-up. Okay, so now that we've set up the way it's going to appear and how it's actually going to show up, we're going to go into our style settings. So this is where we put in our HTML code. And since I already have an opt-in on this page that has my HTML code, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste it from my existing version. But this is what you would do, and you would get it from your MailChimp, your Aweber, Infusionsoft, Entreport, ConvertKit, whatever system you're using. So that is the first thing. You put in your HTML. Now, what you can do here is you can choose from the templates, but I actually, I think that they're great templates, and you can totally, cycle through them and say, which of these templates really suits the look and feel of my website? What kind of pop-up do you want to create? You could do all kinds of special offers and all kinds of things, but I actually want to show you how to design one from scratch. So you can do that using the blank canvas. And this is actually my favorite way of building opt-ins because you can make them be anything you want them to be. So as you can see here, we have a totally blank canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and actually collapse this menu so I have more space to work with. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of elements. So I'm going to add a content box, and then I'm also going to add an input field. So these will be for my email, and I'm actually going to add my email and my name fields, and then I'm also going to add a submit button, which is going to be for my submission after people complete their name and email. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and start customizing. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to choose how big I want this pop-up to be, where do I want it to appear. So the first thing is I want this to be a transparent pop-up. So I have an idea in mind. You'll see what it is when I get there. And I'm going to actually make this be a star that I've previously uploaded. So it's just a big, great star that's going to actually make more sense once you see how we design this. But this is going to be the background, and I actually don't want anything covering, I don't want this to be a square pop-up, I want this to be a star-shaped pop-up. So hopefully you'll see how cool this can be once we get going. So in this case, this is actually, I want it to be maybe a teensy bit bigger. So I'm gonna go ahead and increase that a little bit here. And as you can see, I think this is actually a square. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make that a square. And then I think that's pretty much all I need to do for my background. I'm happy with the way this looks. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this location and background settings. Now, my first element here is going to be my header. So I'm gonna rename this my header text, and then I'm gonna put in my text itself. So I'm gonna say, wait, don't miss out on the free 30-day list building challenge. And obviously you would put in what you want as your headline here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually style this, and hopefully you guys can see how easy this is, and you're kind of seeing as I build things out how you can actually design your pop-up based on what you have in mind. And it's pretty easy to get going once you really know what you want this to look like. And sometimes it can be almost too much freedom with PopupAlly, but that's a good thing because it means nobody else is going to have the exact same pop-up or opt-in that you have. So let's continue here. Okay, so as you can see here, by default, we're actually creating these in a really small area in the top left corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit bigger and wider so I can actually show this in a bigger font. So I'm going to go ahead and choose our font size, and I want this to be maybe like a 24 pixels. That looks pretty good. And then the other thing that I like to do is change the line height. So if I have a font size of 24, I probably want a line height of 28 or maybe 30, just to give it a little bit extra space. Now the other thing that I like to do is to align my text. So if I'm have a nice little section, I want to make it centered. And then the other thing that I'll want to do is actually make it show up in the middle of my star here. So my vertical offset is something I probably want to do at maybe like 150 pixels, maybe 180, something like that, maybe not too much. And then for horizontal, again, I just want to center this. So there's an easy way to make this completely centered. If I were to make this the full width, and then I can add padding to the sides. So instead of using the horizontal offset, I can do that. So let me add a little bit of padding to the right and the left. So these are all things that you can totally customize. So let's say I want to do 50 pixels on each side here. And again, maybe I'll want to lower this down just so the text doesn't overlap with the rest of the star. Okay, so that's looking good. Don't miss out on the free 30-day challenge. Okay, so we have our headline. Now there's one more thing I might want to change, which is our font. So let's go ahead and choose and look at what fonts come built in. So these are just the default fonts. You can also choose other and really use any type of font that you already have. So I'm going to go with this one. I think that looks good for now. So, okay, I like it. I'm just going to save my changes and make sure to see if anybody has questions or comments so far about building their pop-up on Facebook. I want to make sure I'm not too focused on building and I get to answer any questions. So feel free to type questions into the chat. I don't see anything yet, so I'm going to keep on going and building. Okay, so I have my star. I have my headline. So now let's go ahead and start building our inputs. So let's say that this one will be my name input. So you can't see it right now, it's right under here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it, but first I will select this as first name. So this is actually part of my opt-in form. So I don't have to do anything because this is the right one. So name and first name works perfectly. And then in terms of your placeholder text, I will say enter your name. That will be my placeholder text. Okay, so now let me move this so you can actually see where it actually is showing up. So again, I'm probably going to do the same thing I did with the previous one. So I'm going to make this, move it down maybe 300 pixel. Oops, that's horizontal, but so let's do 200 pixels and then 300 pixels. Okay, so as you can see, this is what it looks like just unstyled out of the box. Now we're gonna make it a little bit prettier, a little bit wider so people can actually read what it says in there. We're gonna add some nice little styling to make it just really beautiful and a little bit more enticing. Okay, so the first thing I wanna do is I want to change the, let's do the input color. So this is the font that you're seeing here when people start typing. So I'm gonna maybe make this a nice little gray color. And then we've got the placeholder color. So that's once they start typing. Now this is the currently what you see there. So again, I'm gonna make this kind of a nice little gray color that people can see fairly easily. Okay, so once we've got that, I'm gonna go ahead and again, change my font. So I'm gonna just stick with our Palatino type right now, since that kind of matches the heading so far. Okay, and then I do want it to be a little bit bigger font, so let's change that size a little bit here. Maybe like a 16. And we've got our little bit of padding, but I'd love to do padding on all the sides, just so it's a little bit more even. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add my padding on all sides here. And I think 10 pixels makes sense, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep that there. Okay, so maybe it's getting a bit too big, so maybe on the bottom I will keep that to a 5. And this is really how I end up building a lot of things, is I see how it looks like in PopupAlly and then I make little tweaks. So let's go ahead and actually add a little border around this. So I like to have a little bit of a border because that actually makes it stand out a little bit more, and people are more likely to opt in when they can see it stand out clearly like this. So I'm gonna make this a solid line, and right now it's just gonna be a black color, but let's do something kind of more gray again that might seem a little less aggressive. Okay, and then I did want to make it centered since it's a little bit too offset from everything else. So there we go, 150, and I think I'm just going to move this up a little bit too, just so it fits in perfectly. Okay, great. So we've got enter your name. Okay, so now I basically want to do the exact same thing, but for email. So I could do, which what I was planning to do is just completely start from scratch the exact same thing for email. But what I'm going to do, because I like the way this is set up, is just copy element. And when you do that, it will just create a copy of the exact same styling. And then you can just go ahead and I'm going to make this our email input. And then what I can do is choose email here, and then go ahead and put enter your email. And right now it's in the same spot, so I'm going to move it down a little bit here, and then you'll be able to see that we've got enter your name, enter your email, and I didn't have to do all the same styling as I did for the first one. So I'm going to go ahead and save that and check the Facebook chat again, just to make sure you guys aren't lost or anything like that. Cool. Okay, so CC is asking, what are you using for screen share? So I am using something called OBS. That means Open Broadcasting System, and yeah, and it's a great tool. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue building our opt-in. So you can see, and actually, yeah, I mean, we're getting so close, I might as well just finish and put in our submit button. So I'm going to go ahead and select element 4, which is the one that we had set up as our submit button. So yeah, I don't think I need to change the title here, but I will change the word subscribe to, you know, take the challenge or something like that. Okay, so as you can see, it's right up here. I'm going to want to move that again, and I'm actually going to change the background color because it doesn't make sense to have yellow on yellow like that. So and actually, I do have the color, the exact color that I want to use in one of these other opt-ins. So I'm going to go ahead and try to grab that exact color. Oh, not the green one. Actually, the green one might look nice too. Yeah, so this purple is the one I want. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this purple HTML code, or hex code, if you will, for this color. And I'm going to go back to our star opt-in here. and paste that exact code. So I'm not having to reinvent the wheel. I'm gonna have the exact color that I'm looking for. Okay, so we have that. So now I'm gonna, again, go ahead and do a lot of the alignment stuff that we had already done with some of the other things. So I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to move this, again, to a better location here. So I'm gonna do 150, or maybe, I think maybe we're up to like 350, that's pretty good. And then this is about 150. Okay, so let me just move that up a teensy bit. All right, and then let's do more of our paddings and also change our font and our font sizes. Okay, so again, I'm gonna go ahead and choose my Palatino, and then I want this font to be similar size to the previous ones, and let's also make sure that we have enough padding on this one as well. So I'm gonna do our padding. Okay, and maybe I'll make this one a little bit more padded so it really stands out. And what I do like to do also with these buttons is to, again, have a similar border style as what I've been using for the opt-in input boxes. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this a 1 pixel, make it a solid line, and then instead of a blank color, I'm gonna go ahead and make this sort of a black that kind of matches the headline. Okay, so that's really what I had in mind, and maybe I'm just gonna move this a teeny bit. So if you click on any element that you wanna edit, it'll automatically open up the section in popup so you can edit it. So I'm actually just gonna offset this a teeny bit here, just so it's a little bit, has more breathing room between the headline and the star. So that is what it took to create. Now I want to test it and make sure it's working. So I have my, for testing purposes, it's just a kind of sample blog post on this page. I'm going to go ahead and open this up and see if it exit intents for me. Yes. Okay, great. So it did. And there's one thing I forgot to change, but you can see, and actually 2 things I'm going to fix before I make this live, but you can see here that it's a star. It has all the settings that I've been doing. Now, the 2 things I'm going to change is actually the border. We have a little shadow that shows up on pop-ups automatically, and then also this input that I forgot to delete. So I'm going to go ahead and make those changes now. And then this pop-up is going to be good to go. So you can see here we have that border. So I'm going to go ahead and choose our pop-up location here. And then, okay, so that's the default border. I want to do none, and you can see it just removed the border, and then you can see that input. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and then I'm actually going to delete this element. And then that's actually going to be, I think, all the changes I need to make on this opt-in. So I'm going to check Facebook again before I do another quick demo, make sure I'm not missing any questions. And yeah, I don't see other questions yet, so I'm going to go ahead and demo that. Now, one thing that you may have encountered if you've ever done any pop-up testing is that if you open your page again and you are you're basically on the same browser and you're not switching to a different window for some reason, or kind of closing it out and using an incognito window, then you are not going to be able to see the exit intent, for example. So I'm actually going to switch screens because I'm using a incognito window, and this is important for whenever you're testing a pop-up. You want to make sure that you're actually going to show what people see, right? And you're actually going to see, okay, so I'm showing this temporarily here so we can show that exit intent. Okay, so it exit intented properly, and what you can see here is we've got our star, we've got our headline, enter name and email, take the challenge. I'm actually going to do it right now. So let's say, okay, test, okay, and take the challenge. Awesome, so it takes us to our thank you page, and that worked. So I'm gonna hide this window capture that I just created here and go back to our settings inside of PopupAlly Pro. So that's all it took to get a brand new opt-in, a brand new exit intent, pop-up designed in PopupAlly. I think we did it in 19 minutes. So if you have questions, if you've been wanting to create your own opt-in, if you would like to design something like this, then definitely check out PopupAlly Pro. You've got the link right here in the video, or just go to ambitionally.com/PopupAlly Pro, and you'll see that we've got great tutorials. If there's something else that you have in mind that you wanted to create for your website, we've got tutorials to walk you through that. And and that's really all it takes. If you have more tutorials, more workshops, more how-to things like this that you'd like us to do to show you how to use our tools, then we are more than excited and happy to do that. So we're going to definitely be doing more of these for Progress Ally, for Access Ally, and even more features of PopupAlly. So definitely hope you enjoyed this. If you have questions, I'll definitely happy to answer them in the chat. And if there's anything right now that you're excited about or that you have questions about and you want to type those in, I can stay on for a couple more minutes and demo anything else that you guys might be curious about. And thank you so much for watching. This has been really fun. All right, I'm just refreshing real quick to make sure I didn't miss anyone's questions or comments. All right. Cool. So yeah, love the star. It really catches your eye. Awesome. I'm so glad to hear that, Celie. So if you have any other questions or any other, requests for tutorials or anything like that that you want to do live, then please let us know. Oh, great question from Sam. Does it work with Joomla? So PopupAlly Pro is a WordPress plugin at the moment, so it does not work with Joomla, unfortunately. So it is definitely a WordPress specific tool. But great question, Sam. And hopefully this gives you lots to think about, lots to play with. And let us know also if you have questions. You can leave them on this post if we don't get to it, or if it's something that specific and you have PopupAlly Pro, you can always just email us at info@ambitionally.com, and we're more than happy to jump on in and if it's troubleshooting anything or guiding you to the right solution. So thanks, Troy. Thanks everybody here for being live with us, and have an awesome rest of the day. And we hope to do more of these and chat with you again very, very soon.